What is going on, Slipknot fans? My name is Johnny Screams, and today we are going to attempt the impossible. I have spent the last hour of my life going through all of Slipknot's music and ranking their albums in order from worst to best. And let me tell you, this was not easy because this is such an incredible band with so much amazing music, and they don't have a bad album. So it makes it very difficult to rank a band like Slipknot's albums, but I've got the list, I feel confident about it, and I'm ready to go. So we are going to go through them from worst to best in that order. And as a bonus, I'm going to tell you guys my favorite song off of each individual album as we go, just to keep it a little bit interesting. And so without further ado, let's start with number 6, aka my least favorite Slipknot album. It's going to be We Are Not Your Kind from 2019, aka their latest album. And I know what you might be thinking, oh, he didn't like We Are Not Your Kind. That is not what I'm saying here. I love this album. I love this band. I love everything this band has done. It's just when you compare this album with their other ones, it's just not quite as good. And if I had to give one Slipknot album this number 6 spot, it's going to be We Are Not Your Kind. And that's all I can say. Their other albums are just slightly better. However, I still enjoy songs like Unsainted and Nero Forte and Solway Firth. The singles off of this album were incredible. But for my favorite song off of this album, I'm actually going to go off the board a little bit and go with a more deep cut track. My favorite song off of We Are Not Your Kind is Not Long for This World. And I really don't know how many people truly listen to this song. It's not a Slipknot song that you hear about too much, but I just love it, man. It's so eerie. It's got such an eerie, slow vibe to it. Let's keep moving and go from here. Number 5 is going to be Point 5, The Gray Chapter from 2014. This was the album that they released post Paul Gray's death. It was a very difficult time. It took several years to get this album out, and it still absolutely slaps. I love songs like The Devil and I, Sarcastrophe, incredible songs all around the board, but my absolute favorite song off of The Gray Chapter is going to be Kill Pop. It's such it's got those just weird, eerie, dark vibes, and Corey's vocals are so good on Kill Pop. It's such a catchy song. And then the outro, the die and fucking love me. Now die and fucking love me. I love that end outro of the song. It's so great. Let's keep moving and go on to number 4. Number 4 is going to be Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses from 2004. Incredible album. Corey was doing a bit of a different vocal on this one. And I thought it was really interesting to get such a different style coming off of Iowa and going into this album. I thought Corey really changed up his vocals quite a bit on this album. But it gives you something a bit different from Slipknot back in this era. The Blister Exist, banger. 3-0, banger. Duality, Anthem, Opium of the People, Welcome, Vermilion, Pulse of the Maggots, Before I Forget, Vermilion Part 2, The Nameless. Obviously, the song Duality has become such a hit for Slipknot. I love Duality, but my very favorite song off of Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, is going to be Before I Forget. That chorus, just absolutely legendary stuff. Top-notch Slipknot. I really was going back and forth between Vermilion and Before I Forget, because both of those songs just have such iconic choruses that I couldn't decide on one. But I just felt that overall, the entire structure of this song Before I Forget is so amazing. The verses where Corey is going back and forth with himself is so cool. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is going to be All Hope Is Gone. But I feel like Slipknot's career really just skyrocketed when they released Psychosocial and Dead Memories and Sulfur and Snuff. And then there's the really cool deep cut tracks off of this album, like Gematria, which is such an insanely heavy song that doesn't get the love it deserves. And I would use the exact same description to describe the title track off of this album, All Hope Is Gone. Another insanely heavy incredible Slipknot song that just does not get the love that it's deserved, because there's so many other bangers off of this album from this time frame. But I've got to say, my number one favorite song off of All Hope Is Gone is Snuff. Snuff, I swear to God, man, you can disagree with this, but Snuff might be the most beautiful song ever written by a metal band. It is incredible. Like Snuff is top tier Slipknot. If you put a gun to my head and ask me what's the best Slipknot song that they've ever written, it's probably gonna be Snuff, man. Corey poured his heart and soul into that song. Apparently Paul Gray did a lot of the writing for the music and making that song what it became. And it's a shame because they don't get to play it live, because it's such a slow song that it doesn't really vibe with a Slipknot set list, a Slipknot concert, which is unfortunate. I would love to see them incorporate Snuff into their live shows somehow. That would be amazing. I have an idea for that, but I'm not going to rant about that right here, right now, because we're on and we're talking about our list here. So let's move on to number 2. And this is where shit gets fucking hard, man. Because we've got the self-titled album left, and we've got Iowa left. And it's like, they're two of the most incredible metal albums of all time. So how do you rank them in order? And I had such a hard time, and I actually had one ordering, and then I was like, no, I have to reverse this. So let's start with number 2 first of all. My second favorite Slipknot album of all time is Iowa. And it was very, very difficult making that decision over the self-titled album, but honestly, we need to talk about Iowa right now, because this might be the greatest metal album of all time. It's obviously subjective, but Iowa, their sophomore album coming off of their incredible debut in 1999, they just absolutely they built on the heaviness that they'd established in 99, and they just absolutely killed it with this one. Like, it's fucking insane, man. It starts off with People Equal Shit, like just a banger, and goes right into Disaster Pieces, then My Plague, Everything Ends, the Heretic Anthem, Left Behind. Oh god, like this album punched me straight in my dick as a kid, and it still does to this day. Like, it absolutely slaps, man. There's so much heaviness, so much emotion in this album. It's one of the best of all time. It truly is. Like, when we seriously talk about like the greatest metal albums of all time, Iowa has to be in that discussion. My favorite song off of Iowa is Disaster Piece, man. That song goes through so many different sections. It's like extreme heaviness. The very first line in Disaster Piece is, I want to slit your throat and fuck the wound. Like, bro, that song is amazing. I love Disaster Piece. I love Iowa. It was so hard putting Iowa underneath the debut album, but you guys already know. Let's just transition into number 1 right now. Number 1, my favorite Slipknot album is going to be the debut self-titled album from 1999. Holy shit, man. Talk about setting the stage for your entire career, man. Slipknot was a band of masked misfits from Iowa in the 1990s, and they were caught up in this like new metal wave where they had all kinds of different influences, all kinds of different personalities in the band, and they get together, and it never should have happened like this, but here we are, man. These misfits from Iowa get together and create like one of the most iconic heavy metal albums of all time. In terms of my favorite song off of Slipknot's debut 1999 album, it has got to be Eyeless. Eyeless is seriously one of the most iconic, heaviest, most insane, chaotic songs I've ever heard in my life. And 20 plus years later, it still holds up, man. I love Eyeless, dude. When you hear that intro, that crazy guitar riff intro, and then Sid comes in with his weird like DJ shit, and then Corey comes in and insane, am I the only motherfucker with a brain? I'm hearing voices but all they do is complain. How many times have you wanted to kill everything and everyone? Say you do it but never will. You can't see California without Marlon Brando's eyes, son. Eyeless is nuts, man. That song goes hard. I will be listening to that song for my entire life. It just doesn't get old. It's so chaotic and all over the place. It brings me such joy. I love Eyeless. I love Slipknot. Their debut album was amazing. All of their albums were amazing. It was so hard to rank them today, but I did my best. So let me know, you guys, if you guys made it this far in this video, let me hear your rankings of Slipknot albums. I did not include Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat because I feel like it just predates like the true Slipknot era. I know some people will disagree with that, so if you guys are leaving a ranking and you want to include Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat, go ahead. I don't really listen to it, I'll be honest, I don't listen to it, but I want to hear from you guys. At the very least, tell me your top Slipknot album. What is your favorite Slipknot album? But the hardcore dedicated people, I want you guys to take the time and rank Slipknot's albums in order from your least favorite to your most favorite Slipknot albums. I've got many Slipknot videos on my channel. If you guys are new here, make sure you subscribe and go check out those other videos, man. Slipknot has got a brand new album coming out in 2022, and I'm gonna be all over that shit, making videos, making reaction videos, checking out their new masks, all that stuff. So if you guys are into Slipknot, make sure you subscribe to this channel, drop a like on this video. Apparently that shit helps me out or something, I don't know. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for checking this out. My name's Johnny Screams. This has been my top Slipknot albums, and I'm out of here. Peace.